What if you didn't have to try? So I want to ask you a question today, and it might be quite an off-putting question for some of you, especially those of you who have struggled with people-pleasing. But I think it's really important, and that is, can your wanting be enough? What is it that you want? And is it enough for you to want that just for you? Naturally, there will be others that are affected by this wanting and by the fulfillment of it. And naturally, others will be part of your wanting. But your desires and your dreams for your life, can that be enough? The traditional model of find your why, like finding your why in business, right, encourages you to find your legacy passion, like what you want to do for the world, the impact you want to make. Basically, a kind of how is this going to better and save the world model. Because the idea is that is going to drive you and be more meaningful and more important to you, and thus help you succeed more. What I see this do for most women, however, and perhaps men as well, and perhaps people who don't identify as either, is make them feel incredibly guilty and conflicted about their own desires. And also incredibly confused about them. Confused about their own desires and how to go about creating their own desires, because then they're outside of themselves and mentally running around trying to figure out what people need and how they can give it to them. If you are a woman in this world or have identified as a woman since birth, since you were born, you have likely been taught to put others before you, to minimize yourself and your desires, and to take care of others before yourself. So this find your why model is like adding gasoline to that already burning fire of guilt that you have for having needs and wants of your own. And I have been running from that guilt all of my life. But recently, I stopped running. I stopped trying to defend or explain away my guilt by justifying my needs and my wants and how they are going to save the world, and I just let the guilt be and be fully felt in my body like a hot wave of sick that will just pass through if I don't keep trying to push it down or make it go away or create a story about why I'm not a horrible person for having desires and wants of my own. But instead, just let myself be guilty. Guilty of wanting. Guilty of wanting more. Guilty of wanting things for myself. Guilty of wanting what I want for no other reason than I want it. And letting that guilt exist and be loved in me unconditionally, like every other part or feeling or identity in me. And underneath that hot sick of this thing I've been running from all my life is the most incredible freedom. So hi, I'm Sunny, and I want to be deeply fulfilled, fully alive, filled with love, loved and in love, totally held and cherished and supported in every way, and free to choose what I want to experience, to do, to be, and feel in this life, to create what I want with wild abandon, and to be rich in every single way and every single meaning of that word. And all of that boils down to freedom and joy for me. I want the money for freedom and joy. I want the safety for freedom and joy. I want the success for freedom and joy. It's all about freedom and joy for me. And it is my deepest knowing that all of those gifts get passed on to others, the freedom and joy, effortlessly through my being those things. I don't have to go outside of myself to try to make that happen. I don't have to try. It just pours out in 1,000 different ways in my life without me even having to think about it or plan it in advance or try. It's a natural byproduct. It just happens. I want to pass that gift of freedom and fulfillment onto others like I want to take my next breath. But that is a result of my own fulfillment, not a means to it. And that's a huge difference. It's a result of my own fulfillment, not a means to it. This is inside out living, which is what I've been teaching about for years and leaning into and living into for years. What is inside is what goes out. And you are here because you know that. So if you try to go outside and work your way back in, you'll be struggling a lot and wondering why you're feeling so lost. And it's because you're not at home. You're not at home in yourself, and you're dying to get there. One of my greatest loves in my life, other than witnessing myself craft something out of thin air in the creative field, is the feeling of witnessing someone realize that they've built the bars of their own cage and they can take them down anytime they're ready to. Gives me goosebumps just to say it, because I personally live for that feeling and discovery, for the ability to create something new and surpass my own perceived limitations. And I get to experience that all over again within myself when I witness it in others. That brings me so much joy, but it's all for me. It's all for me because I am the one getting to experience that joy, and that is the joy I am seeking. That person's experience of that is all their own. It's their own intimate personal experience of themselves and their life and their joy. And it's none of my business. It's theirs. I am sometimes just awestruck by the brilliance and genius of the universe, God, life, source, that designed this mutually beneficial symbiotic relationship of beings that meet each other's needs utterly naturally through meeting their own intrinsic desires and drives, and through having their own needs met. This happens with plants to animals to the tiniest insects to cells and humans. That is how that works. And it works the same in you. I honor that brilliance in me. And I honor that brilliance in you. And I want to encourage you to trust that. But you will not be able to trust it as long as you're running from what people might think or say. As long as you are not willing for that wave of hot sick to run through you and be with it in unconditional love, or just at least in acceptance and neutrality, and be a space for that to exist in you. Like it's a lost little child that just needs to know it belongs and it's safe and will be held to. If you will do that for yourself, it will change everything. The thing that you are is the thing you give away without trying. The thing you are being is the thing you give away without even thinking about it or really trying at all. It just happens. So if you want to embody being some version of love, joy, happiness, fulfillment, freedom, peace, financially or otherwise, then that is going to ripple out far beyond you. But what about the really bad guys, you say? I hear that. Those are the beings who have zero tolerance for their own guilt and shame. It is not allowed in them. They will not be a space of love or acceptance for that in them, so they are running the hardest. And the pain that they are currently in is what they also give away, unfortunately. But that too is the play of life. This is the divine stage. And this play of all forms and their effects on each other is happening. And from a much broader, zoomed out view, who knows the countless miracles that come from even the most painful things. So I will leave you with this question to ponder in the week ahead. What comes up for you if you don't have to go outside yourself and run around figuring out what people need and want from you and how to give it to them? What if you did things because you just want to, and because you love it, and because you're intrinsically inspired to do such things? Do you fear that you wouldn't be safe, wouldn't be liked, wouldn't be accepted, would lose people or things or resources that you love and need? I don't suggest bowling over those fears, but I do suggest being aware of them. And I do suggest slowly starting to do more of the things that you want, for no other reason than you want to, in whatever ways feel the least threatening to you, so that you can build trust that you're still going to be loved and you're still going to be okay when you do those things. And eventually you can find out that you get to be safe, you get to be liked and accepted and celebrated and cherished and loved and have all the resources and support and success you desire at the same time. Be aware that as you begin to do this at first, you are going to see evidence for your old belief staring back at you first. That's how the mirror of life works. But don't be discouraged. It's just a reflection of your old belief that you don't get to be supported and have what you want, but you do. It's just an echo. It will fade if you just remain devoted to your freedom and joy, or whatever your directive is. You cannot save others or save the world because you cannot choose for them. You cannot choose for others, but you can choose for you. All you can do is become the change that you want to see in your world, and let others choose for themselves in their world. We have not all come for the same ride. Honor the ride you came for. Let others honor theirs. The gift that you are will naturally emanate and be of most benefit when you are letting yourself be yourself. And if you need any help with that, you know where to find me.